Pretty messed up, huh?
The hideousness of that foot will haunt my dreams forever.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that before.
And welcome to the Joust. My name is Nagy. I'm joined once again by my partner in crime, sans most of the crimes.
We don't do many crimes at this age anymore.
No, Mr. Lee McNeil.
We got our crime doing out early in our lives, which is good.
Also, partner in crimes, it sort of insinuates that we do crimes together.
Yes.
It seems like we're both scheming crimes, planning crimes. We probably do crimes.
We're a real Bonnie and Clyde. We're a real Clyde and Clyde.
Clyde and Clyde.
Yeah. There's no Bonnie. There's no Bonnie in here.
Clyde and Clyde. Couple of fellas, Tommy guns.
You always know that you're in for a troublesome relationship when the partner and we're a real Bonnie and Clyde's like, well, you should be in jail.
You should be.
You should be.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Otherwise, you'd be massacred in a roadside sort of stoppage.
It's like when people talk about a relationship as it's a Romeo and Juliet story.
Damn.
It was a 4-day romance that ended in a double suicide and about a half dozen bodies in bags.
She's like basically
She was
13 years old.
Yeah, it was a terrible story.
Awful.
People are idiots.
No wonder the families wanted to keep them apart.
Yeah, fair enough. If anything, that's proved the point.
Yeah,
the Montagues and the Capulets never should have got together. Romeo and Juliet tried it. It made the situation worse.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we make the situation better.
There's a lot of parallels we can draw in today's society about the breakdown of Romeo and Juliet's ill-fated romance.
I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it's not a love story that we should be relying on. It wasn't
don't rely on it.
Barely romantic, full of death, disappointment, more
Backroom dealings amongst the families.
That's right. More death again.
Baz made a great film about it. Good on him. Aussie Baz did a great job.
Boo and his.
Yeah, well, Baz Luhrmann's films always sort of get made, and they say, "Oh, but it's a Baz Luhrmann film. It's going to be fantastic." And then there's a big lead up. You go watch it, and you go, and then
no, they're great.
And then after about 7 to 10 years, people go, "What a classic!"
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
an absolute classic.
His name recognition alone ensures that his films will be a classic. Is Australia a classic?
Do you?
Never
Well,
watched it.
I met someone from overseas once, and they said, "Isn't that a great movie?" And I said, "It wasn't really well received here."
No one here
at all."
saw it.
No. Do you think he'd make less good films if his name was Barry Luhrmann?
Yes, it'd be terrible. He'd be a bricklayer. He wouldn't even be in the industry. He'd be a bricklayer.
He does seem like
He's
someone...
Barry Luhrmann.
Yeah. Who did your scaffolding? Barry Luhrmann.
And they would have, old Lermy. Lermy's late for work again.
Where's Barry?
Lermy's got a hangover. He can't make it.
Lerms. Rhymes with worms.
It certainly does rhyme with worms. Yes.
Liam, I'd be amiss if I didn't welcome our musical guest, brand spanking musical guest, fresh from his tour from Eastern Europe. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the Joust stage, Mr. Bleedin' Steeden.
Halen's foot's loose, wet screwed, something wrong in his shoes. Please, Lizzie, stay away from my team. When's he back? Not yet. AFB's about to snap. Good news for the Blues. Halen's bloody foot is loose.
Thank you, Mr. Steeden.
Isn't it amazing? It speaks so much to the sort of the Australian music scene that every week on this show, week in, week out, we're able to find a new and exciting musical guest.
It's
Amazing.
yeah. Well, there's that much music coming out of Newcastle.
There's incredible depth in the Newcastle music scene.
Yeah, of course. And also we get
And
people.
Mr. Bleeding may be the best so far.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Easily to say, it's been the best. Cast everyone else aside. He's been fantastic. But Liam, it'd be also, we have to discuss so much rugby league. Rugby league is constantly boiling away there.
It's coming out of our pores.
All the pores, yeah, and we have to discuss
I
it.
can't stop shitting rugby league.
Otherwise, we will just explode in rugby league unless we talk about everything, including the news. Make it bleed. The first thing off the top of the news cycle, it's very important, Liam, and it's our very own, our brother, our captain, our king, the Pong, is out of the Origin Decider.
And out of our hearts.
Yeah.
Oh,
the scans.
Isn't this a discussion we've had so many times and it hurts even more every time?
Now, Liam, you and I are rugby league tragics.
Yes.
We follow the game.
And just tragics in general.
Tragics in general, life tragics, men tragics. We haven't lived up to many expectations as we should have. However, something that has taken over rugby league in such a powerful way is the woman known as Elizabeth Frank. and her injury
don't get me
that she
started on Lizzie.
that she does-
Old Lizzie Frank. We don't care for that woman, do she? She's ravaged our team over the
that's
last
a-
few years.
that's a picture of her
Liz
for-
Frank didn't even exist 10 years ago.
No, apparently she was.
He's done an ankle.
Apparently she was there back in the 17th century, maybe.
Yeah,
Gorgeous
she was an
woman.
Obgyn, remember? Last time we spoke about it, she was an Obgyn.
Obgyn, yeah. Gorgeous woman for people of the visual media.
Handsome woman.
Yeah, handsome. And also,
Yeah.
and also
so
a
handsome,
man.
she's a fella.
Yeah. So she's crossed the threshold of being a handsome woman. She's actually a man, and she created an injury to the foot, which back in the day people would have a knee reconstruction. They maybe tear a pec. They maybe shoulder reconstruction.
Various groin injuries.
Various groins.
All the different groins.
up groins, middle groins, down groins.
But there's so many new groins these days
Yeah.
to discuss, and Lizzie's one of them.
I think the lowest groin, but possibly the bottom groin.
It is the bottom groin, I think
yeah.
it's safe to say, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no groin below it.
Now,
Plenty of groins above it.
Everyone does an Elizabeth Frank injury, which includes breaking a bone in the foot, and your foot is full of bones. I don't know if you ever looked in there.
Metatarsals, I think they're called.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the phalanges, I think, are the toe bones, but the regular foot bones are the metatarsals.
Metatarsals.
And it's why it takes so long to heal, because there's so many of them, and you're always on your foot. No matter what you do, you need your foot for something.
Can't avoid it.
Busy. Can't avoid it.
Have to stand
the feet,
up.
Are the feet the busiest, not organ, are the feet the busiest body part?
Yeah, I think so. And it's certainly a busy place to be, being the feet.
Especially the
because-
foot of a man with such great footwork. His feet are doing 3 times what a usual person's foot would do in any given day.
up, down, side to side. He does a bit of hopping, skipping, jumping, all of those things, and all of those things involve the foot, and he can't avoid using his foot. Therefore, he is out. So far, we're hoping for possibly 6 weeks.
We tried using him with one foot. It didn't work, so
No.
we're keeping him with on the sidelines there with the one foot that he does have.
The good foot?
While we focus on the other foot, hop him on the good foot to do the bad thing, and
Yes, that's
hopefully
right.
Lizzie will just bugger off and leave us alone.
That's right. That's right. It's terrible news for the Newcastle Knights.
Wonderful news for the rest of rugby league, though, because boy, doesn't the rest of rugby league hate it.
Yeah.
Oh, now before we go into Origin, this brought up something that I want to discuss with you, Nagy, and we're
Please.
pretty well equipped to do this.
Yes.
We're Knights fans through and through.
We are.
We're the kind of fans where we're happy to be critical. You've got a couple of different groups of fans. You've got groups of fans who will stand by the team no matter what. They
Yep.
don't criticise the team. They don't criticise the players.
They criticise anyone.
They don't criticise anyone.
Yeah.
There are other groups of fans where they're happy to, be a big fan of the team, but we can criticise when necessary.
That's right.
And then there's another group of fans who think that by criticising and being negative, they think, oh, I know a lot about the game because I'm saying something's wrong.
Oh, the Smarmies. Yes.
the Smarmies. Yeah, the Smarmies.
The
Now,
Smarmy Army, I think.
when
they're
the
called now.
Smarmy Army, of course. When the Knights put out the picture on Facebook of Kalen with the injury update,
Yep.
a few Knights fans, and I won't name them because I didn't read their names
That's
and I
all right.
don't know them,
Yeah,
said
yeah.
that A, we're better off without him.
That's right.
B, he's overpaid and hasn't delivered for the Knights
Of
since
course.
he came across, and just various other things like that. And I wanted to bring it up because anyone who's actually watched the Newcastle Knights since Kalen Ponga came across
Yeah.
in 2018,
18. Yeah.
would say you're a dickhead if you think that way.
That's right.
Because since he came in 2018, yes, he's missed a lot of games. Yes, he's paid very highly.
Yes.
We stopped giving him the hats off in our first couple of years because every week he was the best player on the field.
Well, that's right.
Every game he's played for the Knights, maybe with the exception of this year,
Possibly.
he's been, if not the best on the field, the top 3 on the field.
Yeah.
So for people to say that A, we're better off without him, B, we're maybe paying him a bit too much, fuck off. He's the best player the Knights have had since
Yes,
Joey.
I think
and
so.
easily in the top 3 of all time as
Yeah.
far as Knights players go.
Talent oozing out of his pores.
Squeezing talent out.
Have we been too blessed that we've had so much Ponga that we've forgotten a time without Ponga?
That's it. I think we forget the doldrum times between Joey and Ponga when nothing happened
That's
at
right.
all.
That's right.
Yeah.
We spent the whole time searching. We said Andrew Johnson's retired.
Yeah.
We're on the search for a brand new talented person. And we're looking around. We couldn't find them. We found one as an 18-year-old.
Yep.
And once we
Just a
found
boy,
a mere
mere
boy,
child.
he came here from Queensland, and we said, yeah, "Please come into Newcastle, the city of Newcastle." They welcomed him in the gate like Jurassic Park. We said, "Welcome to Newcastle." This is.
And then he
is-
scores a try with his first touch,
First
of course.
touch, yeah,
that
yeah.
famous try against Manly with the right foot step outside. I think it was Sean Lane.
Yep.
he got around there with the right foot goose. But yeah, to anyone who says that he may be overpaid,
No.
we're better off without him. He hasn't done anything in his Knights career. Shut up! You don't know what you're talking about. He's maybe the top three as far as Knights players go.
I've got some bad news for people that think he's overpaid. We're still paying him even though he's injured. It could be
That's
shocking.
if they
news.
think, oh no, we're pulling the contract.
That's right.
Lizzie's got you again.
You're on match
Oh.
payments. Match payments. So Lizzie
Fine
says
a Coke.
a lot of money. Elizabeth Frank, we hate you and you seem to be everywhere in rugby league. We hope we never see you again, you handsome woman. Of course, cough central. It's
Pardon me,
winter
I've-
here.
Yeah,
Winter.
I've ranted myself into a cough.
That's all right. Lily, talking about Kalyn Ponga injury, of course, it has impacts on the Queensland State of Origin
It has impacts
team.
on the geopolitical situation of the world,
I
really,
think
with
so.
the Caleb Ponga injury.
yeah.
There's a lot going on, and this is maybe the worst thing.
Trump's commenting on it. And he's saying, he goes, Ponga, not a good guy. Never liked him.
I always said it.
Always said it.
it.
Too much. Paying him 1.5. Too much money.
My big beautiful bill, 200,000 a year.
200,000.
No more.
We're getting Americans are getting good Ponga for the right amount of money. China, too much. Anyway, so
No one knows Isaac Moses like I know
I know,
Isaac Moses. I don't know if Moses is Ponga's agent, but it's
surely he
a
does.
joke. It's good for the joke.
Hamasau Tibio Fidel is going there at fullback. Now, he's played 3 positions for the Queensland side. He started off in the centres, moved out to the wing, was scoring some tries. Now he's playing at fullback.
I'm not sure Hammer's game at fullback really suits the Origin arena because when you see the way he plays fullback in Clubland, he's so good at it because he has so much space.
Yes.
His support that he runs into gaps, into space is unbelievable. It's really, really good. But I don't think he's going to find those gaps in the Origin arena.
Yeah. Well, he found them out in the wing. He did find them out there. He has found them before in previous games. But typically, is what Kalyn really experienced in game 1 and 2, especially this year. You catch the ball, you either have a choice. You pass it off the winger takes the run, or you catch the ball, take the run, you get bashed.
You get bashed.
We get ready. We're up
Which is
there
in the
your
spirit of the
face.
game. Getting bashed is the spirit of rugby league.
One thing that Hammer does not like is is getting bashed. He hates getting bashed.
And that's what Origin's all about, getting bashed.
That's
Yeah.
right. Every time that he's been matching up in the centres against our very own Stephen Crichton, he's out there and
got bashed.
Stephen Crichton says, "We're going to bash him." And then where does he go? Into his shell. He disappears. He disappears. No, he's
The magician's trick.
yeah. Once I was there, now I'm no longer. So it's a classic magician's trick. It's very much like catching a bullet, and hopefully he doesn't catch it and the bullet flies straight through him. But
I thought you were going to say something else there. That could have gone a really dark route. I'm very glad that you didn't say that.
the Queensland
what
team-
I thought you were going to say.
obviously, if we look at game 1, Robert Toya, there from the Roosters,
Yeah,
is
fine.
and he seems to be performing fine.
Yeah.
He hasn't been doing
Did an
anything.
okay job.
No, great. But now they've said we love bringing in new people, being Queensland, and we're there with
Pick and stick, baby.
yeah, big and stick. Josh Papali back from rugby league rep retirement, as well as our very own Newcastle Knights from Christmas past, Gibat Shimazaki.
Well done, Nagy. You handled that with
Yeah,
great
grace.
grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, look, there's not much better. There's 2 things that are some of the best things in State of Origin. Queensland have got them both. They've got the Origin SOS, which they put out to Papali. Remember, famously did the SOS to Alfie Langer in
2002, I think. And that's 2001, possibly.
In the
yeah.
past. It was in the past.
It was.
Now, of course,
More
there
than
was
20 years ago.
More than 20 years ago. It was that Brad Fittler was called out of retirement for
04.
the Blues in 04.
That's right.
And now they've gone in and have called Josh Papali'i out of retirement.
Yeah.
And that worries me because it's such a strong narrative in the Origin arena, and it's a narrative that seems to work. And there's not many players in the rugby league over maybe the last decade and a half who can carry a team from prop like Josh Papali'i does.
Yes.
But he does it in such a unique way where other props, they'll get fire in there. I'll put on a big hit, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Josh Papali just goes, I'm going to put my head down and just be the best player on the field by just running and making tackles,
That's
making
all he
meters.
has to do. Really narrow sort of a skill set. Is just have to run and make tackles.
Yeah.
Two
He's
things.
the most understated game raiser there is because he
Yeah.
just does it quietly.
Was
he goes
he,
about
the,
it quietly.
was he the one that called the police on himself? Was
Yes.
that- yeah. He was at McDonald's and he drunk drove there.
Yeah,
and
and he
said,
dubbed himself
He
in.
said, I better call the police on this drunk driver being me.
That's a
He
good
knows his role now.
He knows his role.
He knows his role.
He knows his
That's a
role.
good
I was a criminal, call the police.
That's a sign of integrity. That's a man of integrity.
He said-
Integrity goes out the window at Origin time,
says-
unfortunately.
Is that the Canberra police? I must report a drunk driver. And they said, can you tell us the license plate number? He said, hang on one moment, I'll pop out and check. I don't know it off by heart. They said, something's amiss. Something is amiss. Start the few letters and I'll roll into it, but I don't know it off by heart.
And then, of course, you had the other Origin narrative of the journeyman called in from the doldrums, which, safe to say, Gemmet Shibasaki is. I don't know how many teams he's played for across rugby league and union in the last 10 years.
Well, it's certainly been the Newcastle Knights.
Newcastle
and then
Knights. Brisbane he played for.
Brisbane
Played for
before
North
Queensland Cowboys.
Played for a Japanese rugby team in the top league in Japan.
Yep.
There's a couple more. Yeah, that was it. Rabbitohs train and trial.
You don't hear too many training trials that failed. Because
No, you
obviously
don't.
training trial didn't make it.
That's pretty grim.
and now,
Take out
if
the
you,
back, I think.
if you miss out on train and trial,
put the
that's
blanket
grim.
on. And then,
But that worries me as well because it's another Origin so well suited, or it's another narrative rather so well suited to Origin.
it's also looking at players, and there's quite a few players in this Origin series that we say, well, Mitch Barnett, he played for the Knights and left the Knights, he's now made Origin. Connor Watson went to the Roosters, played for Origin. Kurt Mann played for the Knights, he's made Origin.
Played Origin
and now we've got
elsewhere.
to put Shibasaki in that same category. However,
As if
all of
this year's Origin series is replete with former Knights players.
all those three other players that I mentioned were quite good, and we said, oh, maybe there's potential there. Shibasaki was shit.
No
He
one
was
said it about Gemmet
So
Shibasaki.
bad. Shibasaki.
There was talks
he
at the start of the season. What the hell's he doing starting for the Broncos?
It
Let
looked like-
alone how's he going to make it into Origin?
It looked like Michael Maguire had lost his mind when he decided to put Shibasaki in the starting side for the Brisbane Broncos.
Another coaching masterstroke from Michael Maguire.
But he's been playing really good, and now he's in the Queensland side. And another great deal of pressure there, Game 3. And I tell you what, Liam, when it's a nice thought to win the series 2-0 early on, but it is to have that Game 3 excitement. It really, really tingles the bones. It gets us really, really tight.
My
And-
bones are tingling
Yeah,
very, very
yeah,
much.
yeah,
Now, I'm quite glad that I wasn't on the day after Origin 2 because I had a lot to say, and I'm glad that I didn't say it because I've never, ever in my life gone into an Origin decider confident. This is the
Yes.
first time it's ever happened. And so I thought, and I was going to rant about this evening, but I shan't, and I'll tell you why. I had a lot to say.
Yeah.
But I worry that my hubris would be our undoing, which it has been in the past.
That's
so
in the
all
elbow,
else-
isn't it? The hubris?
The hubris, yeah, the elbow. It connects to the humerus.
Yeah.
Hubris and the hubris and the humerus.
That's right. Married together, yeah.
But I think because it's safe to say, if you look 1 to 17, the Blues team is definitely the better team.
Yeah.
If you look at the series so far, in 4 halves of rugby league, the Blues have been by far the better team in 3 of those halves of rugby league.
That's right.
Zach Lomax hopefully will remember to put his left boot on his left foot and his right boot on his right foot.
It's a tough job.
But again, given that it is a state of origin decider, I don't want to go throwing anything out there.
There's already been
will
some-
make me look like an idiot.
Injury tingles over the New South
Yeah.
Wales Blues. Payne Haas with
Payne
a back
Haas
injury.
hasn't trained.
Yeah.
Hudson Young didn't train.
Yeah,
Loma,
he had a groin
Luai-
injury, an actual groin.
the groiniest of the groin.
Central groin, pelvis groin. Which I think is possibly
Groinus
the
orbitus.
groinus orbitus, the most central of all of the groins.
But
injections into the groin.
But it happens every year. It comes out the team who wins Origin, the team who wins Grand Final. Like, half our players were needled up. They're all on pain. They're all playing through
Yeah.
injuries. And so I
You
think
should see him after the game. Needle up again. Hey,
Oh,
drug
hey.
use. But also Brian To'o there with a hamstring. Obviously Nathan Cleary looks like he's playing on one leg, but could that be good enough? A one-legged Cleary? Is that
what
good
a
enough for the
narrative as
series?
well, though. A man of the match performance from Nathan Cleary in Game 3 on one leg.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that just be the making of the man? What
Yeah.
a legacy. But yeah, I think, look, 1 to 17 across the board. I think the New South Wales Blues probably have the better team, but
Yes.
that's what Queensland want. That's what Queensland love.
Desire.
That's
Yeah.
what they feed off of. That's what gets them, rock hard.
A lot of grudges they hold, and obviously last year for the New South Wales Blues to win up there in Queensland and Game 3.
the ultimate
impossibility.
humiliation.
Yeah. Our very own Bradman Best there in the extended squad. Good to see him.
Isn't
there
it just
in
like
the-
Bradman to come back 2 games before Origin and be the best centre in the league
Well,
and make his way into the 18th man?
He's a Game 3 specialist, Liam, because if we remember last year, he plays Game 3, wins
Wins the game for the New South Wales Rugby League Blues.
The year before, makes his
He's been
debut.
close to man of the match. I
Close
think Mitch
he-
Moses got man of the match in Game 3 the year before, did he?
Possibly, yeah. And he scored.
apiece,
He scored 2 tries. He could have got a third, but it was taken away from him. It was very
Quite
dubious.
rudely, I thought.
Could have been his first try, but he got 2 more. He said, "Oh, I've got plenty of them." And I've got a handful. I've got a pocket full of tries.
He's got tries to give away.
No. Reece Walsh there is 18th man for Queensland, Liam.
Speaking of the 18th, Reece Walsh 18th man. Sorry, the Wiz, nobody beats him. Speaking of the 18th man, poor Matt Burton.
Yeah.
What is it about
He's
Matt
been-
Burton? He keeps being 18th man, and now all of a sudden, it's the decider. 18th man. Definitely not Matt Burton.
More injuries to
Yeah.
the team, the less Matt Burton you
yeah.
get, despite him being on the cusp.
Yeah.
A lot of people go 18th man for a bit and then work their way in. He was in and he's worked
He's
his
worked his
way
way out. Somehow he's played himself out of an 18th man spot. And not only that, who he's been replaced by is Jacob Kiraz, who definitely has been knocking down the door. I think
Yep.
this season he's probably been the first drop if To'o or Lomax were injured. I think Kiraz comes right back in. But having a specialist winger as 18th man strikes me as a very, very odd decision.
Maybe concerning for outside backs and everyone.
Well, that's
maybe-
it. Is he there perhaps in if Brian To'o's leg doesn't go good?
Latrell can sneeze and do a hammy. We don't really know about him. So it just seems like we could.
That's it. Is that revealing something happening in the camp? Maybe
Potentially,
Is it,
or is it mind games? If everything mind game.
Queensland have had the bloody, the run of the mind games
Yeah.
for all of Origin. It's finally New South Wales time for mind games.
That's right. Our very own fearless leader, Laurie Daly, there. Who
But
is-
should we make game predictions, Nagy?
Yes, let's do it.
What do you think?
Okay, I think New South Wales will win this game.
Yep.
But I believe they're going to start off from behind,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
they're going to claw their way back to a 16-10 win.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be close as well. I think New South Wales will score first and will lead right through the game.
Mm-hmm.
I will go 18-10.
18-10. Oh,
yeah.
a gentleman's
I think
eight.
it'll be a gentleman's eight. I think
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
close.
If this was Price's Right, Nagy, you'd be filthy.
Oh, would be
Well, that's what I was thinking.
undercut.
In my head, I was like, hang on, this isn't Price's Right. I can
Yeah.
say whatever score I want.
That's right.
That's it. There's no rules here.
No rules.
And then, of course, it wouldn't be a State of Origin series without one player missing either the bus, the plane, the Uber, the cab.
Of course.
And this series, it was Stefano Utoikamano.
Yeah.
Misses the flight to Sydney.
Yeah.
He looked at his flight. He said 10 a.m. departure, but for some reason, he thought it meant 10 a.m. boarding time.
That's right. Yeah, and a very easy mistake to make. We've all
It
been
is.
there with the, what time do we arrive at the airport? You have to
Sometimes
give that
it's
hour.
the wrong knob on the AM/FM
There's
radio.
a separate knob.
Why
of
separate
course.
knob?
Why
It was
separate
the volume.
knob? Now there is a question when you look at these players because they're on television. They're on a lot of money. You think there's a lot of handlers around. Everything's professional.
Yeah, I would have thought so for sure.
It's not. Everyone's just rocking up at the airport when they want to.
Well, that was like, remember, Moses Sully got fired for 3 clubs for continuously sleeping in.
Yeah.
There was a period where he was sleeping at the stadium in his car, not because he was homeless,
Yeah.
just because when he'd wake up, he's like, well, I'm already at the stadium for training.
Someone dragged me
Yeah,
out.
he
It's
even
just-
had teammates. They arranged handles. They had teammates to go pick him up.
Yeah.
And somehow he'd still sleep through that.
Oh.
So, yeah, nothing surprises me with rugby league players. But
No.
it's a classic. And I think, for the Blues, it could have been a blessing in disguise because I
Potentially.
don't think Stefano fits into the 17, into the best 17. So maybe when I read the headline, I thought, oh, that could be a good little thing. Put Lindsay Smith in.
Well, you thought-
Unfortunately not.
I even thought we call the ghost drop.
Ghost drop?
Kalamatangi.
I don't know how Cam Kolomatangi did not get picked for this squad.
What has he
Lindsay
done?
Smith, fantastic. He's great. Debuted for Australia in the off-season. But Keon Kolomatangi should feel very slighted that he
I
didn't
think
make
so.
the team.
I think he'd be very, very pissed off. Now, Liam, moving outside of Origin, of course, we've got Phil Good talking about the salary cap.
Friend of the show,
Yeah,
Philip
go-
Ronald, of course.
Can you walk us through the salary cap query that Philip Ronald had?
Yeah, so Philip Ronald Gould has been invited to comment and work with the NRL, I believe, or the NRL Commission, or the ARL Commission, or something,
Yep.
on the salary cap and how it can be tweaked and how it can be worked with. Now, what they didn't tell you in the headline is that there's also a bunch of other people involved, but
Yes.
you know what sells papers?
Phil Gould.
Phil Gould.
Phil
So
Gould
they
on the
put
front.
Phil Gould. And Phil Gould has slammed the NRL salary cap for decades.
Yes.
So now he can finally change it. So maybe this is
Does he
the-
like it or hate it?
I don't think he likes it at all.
No, so he says, I've got money, other
Yeah.
clubs don't have money, I should be able to sign whoever I want.
I think that's the case,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But look, the salary cap is a necessity in rugby league, and
You have
we
to
all
have it.
know it. Compared to other leagues, our salary cap's a drop in the ocean.
It barely works at the moment. Like, we've
No.
still got teams that are shit all the time and
Yeah.
teams that are good all the time. The salary cap's meant to even all that out.
It is.
It looked like like Penrith, maybe the salary cap came to bite them, they're probably going to win the cup again.
Absolutely. I've said it from the start of the season. Penrith will win again. But yeah, I think having a commission
But actually,
made up...
sorry, if you do think about it, you got one cat at the top and one
Yes.
cat at the bottom.
Two
If
cats.
that's not parody, what the
Yeah,
hell is
good
parody?
point.
It's the two cats. The two.
Yeah, the two cats.
Everything's got two cats, you see.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the NRL salary cap, maybe does it need tweaking? I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it as much as I should. I always thought there should be a salary cap dispensation for local juniors. If
Yes.
you bring up a local junior,
I think
you
if
get to maybe have $100,000, $200,000 of his salary
Yeah.
off the cap.
Put it out. Here's a crazy thing. You play 200 games for a club, whether you're a junior or not.
Yeah.
Just give them a bit of space.
Veteran
Let's-
discount, give
veteran
them a
discount.
bit of extra.
It's very hard to get
Yeah.
to 200 games. If you get there, give them some money.
Most people don't.
50 grand.
Yeah,
Hey,
give them something.
we don't want to see these players like Steve Menzies go, oh, well, at the end of my career, I'm going to have a Super League. Why do we get to, what does Super
why-
League get to send him off?
That's it. Why does Super League benefit from all the hard work of Manly Warringah? And as
No.
much as I like Manly Warringah to suffer, I don't want Beaver Menzies
No.
to end his career in bloody anonymity
there.
in the
Oh.
Super League.
Oh,
in Huddersfield?
Huddersfield?
Or whatever shithole he went to play
Yeah,
in there.
some frozen shithole
Yeah.
up there.
But can we just...
He's a,
But just to duck back to that article quickly again. So obviously there's an acceptance that the NRL requires a salary cap to keep the competition even and prevent clubs from spending themselves into oblivion.
Yes.
That's never been true.
Not really.
When have the Sydney Roosters ever struggled in the history of the salary cap?
This year,
When
I
have the
reckon.
Melbourne Storm ever struggled in the history of the salary cap?
no, it
doesn't work.
Well, potentially, maybe some of those years that they won, but
True. Yeah, good point.
but the Roosters, I think, are struggling this year, but they're just not saying
Good.
it out loud. They just keep sending
Well,
their
we're
players
still waiting
off.
for your tinfoil hat to come true with them rorting the cap.
17 weeks old. We're hoping that eventually is going to come true. So maybe I can be a little bit smug. Otherwise, I'm just wrong. I'm just a fat bloke with a microphone. The NRL great Cameron Smith is
Speaking of salary cap
speaking of
cheating.
salary cap cheating. Cameron Smith is pushing for the Kangaroos coaching job. Now, not someone that's known for a whole lot of coaching, but he has spent so much time out there as a rugby league player, 400 plus games, plus all his rep games, probably pushing 500. Does that just mean you're a coach, Liam?
I think it might.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's all you
yeah.
need. Yeah.
Honorary coach. Now, you often see with the best players in a lot of sports,
Yeah.
they don't translate well to coaching because they assume, when you're coaching, that people can do the things the way you do. Like
Yep.
Andrew Johns is a great example. He's coached so many halves. I don't know that any of them have won a comp, and
No.
it must be hard for them to be coached by him because he says, well, just do this, do that, and do that. And they're
Yeah.
like, I can't do the first thing. Hang
Yes.
on. You're telling me to do three things. I can't do the first one.
It's a very Gordon Ramsay's kitchen nightmare.
It is,
You're
yeah.
a failing restaurant. I'm the best chef in the world. I'm just going to come in and tell you how to do things.
Yeah.
We can't do it as good as you. You're far, far more talented than I am. Can't
Yeah.
you see that?
That's it. Poach the salmon, saute the mushrooms, and then make a tweel of bloody rocket or something.
Do
It's like,
that.
I haven't got the toast sorted
Yeah,
yet.
the toast is still
Give me
burning.
a break.
Stop talking about gratinating everything. It's too much.
But I think Cam Smith might be an exception to this rule because
Yep.
not much of his game was built on athletic fantasticness. It was built on knowing the game and a high rugby league IQ.
Yeah.
And so I sense that he might be one of the few who will the greats
Yeah.
who will translate well into coaching,
I think
especially
so.
for a team like the Australian team. And let's face it, when he was playing for Australia, Mal Meninga was the coach, so Cam Smith was the coach.
yeah.
He's done his apprenticeship while he was playing.
That's right.
So I think he could actually be a very, very good option
He
to
knows.
coach the Australian rugby league team.
It's like the Australian Test cricket coach. They're not really
They
the
have
coach.
one?
They're the captain's basically the coach. They make all the decisions. Everyone knows how to play. You're not there out there teaching them how to play cricket. I'll tell you what, they know how to play. They're actually
They're well aware of it,
They're
yeah.
actually the best in the country at it. So really, it's just someone there to hold a clipboard and talk to the
They put
media.
the witches' hats out, maybe.
Maybe bring them in.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
put
actually,
them
the
out.
Australian cricket coach's name is Andrew McDonald. He's got red hair. They call him Ronald. And so it's just like, they don't respect that.
And he's trying.
That's classic Australiana.
He played
You've
20
got red hair, you're someone McDonald, you're Ronald now.
You're
mate.
Ronald. He played 25 tests, right? And he's coaching these people.
To be
But-
fair, that's more than most people would play.
Yeah, but not the
I'm
people
just
that
saying.
he's not the people that he's coaching.
Yeah.
They've all played much more than him.
You know the one that always confused me in tennis is Davis Cup, where
Yes.
they call the coach or the captain
Yeah, they call it the
He doesn't
captain,
play,
but he
he's
doesn't
the
play.
coach. That's
Just
odd.
watches. Yeah, it's a mixed role.
And then, of course, in the European soccer ball or whatever, they
Yeah.
have a manager. They don't have a coach. That's
okay.
odd. To the manager players.
Well, that's a better
Is it
thing.
time we reassess what we call
Like
coaches in
coaches?
rugby league? Is
Yeah.
manager a bit of a better term? do you think?
Potentially.
I like substitute teacher.
Substitute. He's just in for a bid because eventually he's going to be out.
Yeah.
Now, Liam, this is the record there of Mal Meninga. Is this his Australian record? Now he just wins a lot.
Yes.
Most recent record.
Yeah, most recent record.
That
So
famous 66-6 victory over Italy at totally wicked stadium.
I remember where I was, Liam.
The hallowed ground of rugby league.
where were you when the totally wicked thrashing happened? That's what they say. Yeah, of course, and then the New Zealand 30-0 in the most important game probably that he's been there for.
Yes.
So it seems like, again, coaching is, you give him a whistle, give him a clipboard, and maybe the rest just works itself out.
And then, of course, there's talks of Bradrick Fittler
Yeah.
taking up the role. And news broke today that there is a push to have the ARLC or the NRL or whomever's making these decisions, the bean counters in their ivory tower,
Yes.
to change the rules so that we might get Wayne Bennett as coach of the Kangaroos. Now, as it stands at the moment, the rules of the NRL and the ARLC, the bean counters in their ivory tower,
That's right.
dictates, and again, they dictate.
That's right.
They don't tell you the rules, they dictate
Firm
to you
fist.
that nobody with ties to a club role can coach the Kangaroos, similarly to the way it works with State of Origin. They believe that it does not give any national team coach the time and focus to prioritise the Australian role.
Well,
What do you think?
Well, when Wayne Bennett was coaching the Australian side back in 2004, it was known a bit as the Broncaroos because he would select a whole lot of Broncos because he was also coaching the Broncos.
Is that a play on Dunkaroos?
Yeah, I think hopefully. Yeah, that'd be wonderful if he did because also if you break Wayne Bennett open, he's full of chocolate. Yeah, really old.
Depends which part you break him from. I think.
Stale biscuit. Yeah.
As it's kind of gone like white and chalky. But I think, and the other option, of course, was Kevin Walters came out in an interview this week and said his goal was to coach club rugby league. And he
Yes,
did it. His coach
did it.
role, the bloody
Queensland.
goal was to coach Queensland. He did it. Next goal is to coach Australia. But I think
if that's his goal, he's going to be sacked from all three eventually. So he's already ticked two.
But
of
he
them
still
off.
did it.
Yeah, he did
Got
it.
sacked, but he did it.
He did it.
But I think this needs to be an extra important decision given that we're trying to reignite international rugby league. The Pacific Championships have sort of brought it back. The renaissance of the Tier 2 nations have brought it back.
Yes.
But if you can't have a fantastic Ashes series,
Yes.
I think that really will be a massive detriment to rugby league. So Australia really, really needs to get this right.
Good coach.
Because
Maybe
rugby
someone-
league in England is absolutely on its ass. Luke Keary's left.
Yeah.
He's done. He's gone. He said, your league's shit. I'm out of here.
He's done.
And so I think if there's an Ashes series with shit footy and England just get trounced and Australia don't seem to care, I think that puts the death knell in, and then the NRL will swoop in and buy the Super League for $15.
Could be the maybe Luke Keary might be the best person to coach Australia against.
They might be.
Against England because he's already said I don't like your country. Your country shit. Your comp shit. That
that's
could
it.
be the kind of WWE fire starter that we need. Hey, you're shit. We're coming over there. We're going to beat you.
Because you can't even do any video research on the Super League players because no one watches it.
No, that's right.
They're not even recording the games.
Not anymore.
No, he said, can we get some video on the English clubs? Like, what?
We used to be able to watch games in the Super League. Super League used to be on Australian television somehow.
They used to have the odd game on,
Yeah, and then now-
at like
now-
2 a.m. on Fox.
That
and
was fine.
There's
I was
always
up.
St. Helens and Warrington. And,
Yeah, it's always
you
the
know,
big
no one
two.
cared.
Now, speaking of people that are talking outside of their roles, Liam, Anthony Seibold has come out and said to his critics, 'cause he's under a lot of pressure as a coach, and he says, and they say, you want a lot of pressure, Anthony? He says, hang on. Let me put this all in perspective.
Perspective is the key word there, Nagy.
And he goes, we're not under pressure. What's going over in Israel and Ukraine?
Yeah.
That's pressure. We said, that's not really what we're talking about, Anthony.
No.
But he said,
But it's perspective, Nagy's the word.
a false equivalence maybe that he's drawing there, Liam. Maybe.
And of course, he goes on to say, the reality is, guys, if you think about life, every single one of us is going to die.
Yep.
Every single one of us. Right? Now, that's the actual punctuation. I haven't
no, you haven't
emphasized
added
that.
anything to it.
I haven't added
Every-
punctuation for emphasis. That's how he said it. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, growing up where you're like, I'm full, I don't want to finish my dinner. Mum and dad are like, there's starving children in Africa. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, here's an envelope.
Yes.
Maybe put this roast beef in there and send it.
Send them away.
No,
yeah.
but they were starving. It's like, yes, but that's not the point. We're not talking about that.
I've always found a problem
You can
with
talk about two things.
that problem with they say, there's starving children elsewhere, so you must glutton yourself and
Yeah.
fill your. I'm full. Force food down your throat because there's other people starving.
Absolutely.
You should maybe just eat enough. Eat all you can. Stop.
Wouldn't those starving children want you to be satiated and comfortable?
Yeah, they don't want you.
Would
to
they
be
wish ill on you?
fat and full?
Would they say, I've got a tummy ache, I hope you do?
They say a different type of tummy ache. of
Different type
course.
of tummy ache, yes. It's all about perspective.
Perspective, and Anthony Seabold brings it back and said to bring it back to the point. It's not meant to be morbid, but what's really important in life is really passionate. Is about coaching, blah 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 blah, football, and he brings it back and was like, "Hang on a second, why did you bring up the conflicts in Ukraine? We're just talking about
he
rugby
says
league."
not to be morbid, but he has compared the pressures of him being bad at rugby league coaching to two of the biggest humanitarian crises of the modern age.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, Liam, and Anthony Seabold obviously will be commenting
He's always
on
had
further.
an odd brain.
Yeah, it seems
very
like
odd
a
brain.
lot of pressure on Anthony Seabold. Liam,
Hey, but there's a lot of pressure on Israel and Ukraine too.
That's right.
Huh? Get off Anthony's back.
Huh?
All right?
It's just like any
Leave him
excuse.
alone.
They say, Liam, did you do the vacuum while I was there? You go, hey,
Israel.
the people in Israel
They,
into the vacuum.
they can't vacuum.
No.
No.
Think about all the things they need to vacuum up. It's a mess over there.
If you're in the Donbass, some bloody Russian soldiers stole a new vacuum
That's
and
right.
sent it home to his babushka to
That's
flog it
right.
off because they got no money.
Yeah. Shocking. We'll be right
Perspective, Justice. It's all about perspective.
Justice, we'll be back for the second half to play us into the halftime break. Of course, is Mr. Bleeding Steeden.
That's not pressure pushing down on you, pushing down on me. Proclaim Seabold. That's not pressure. Pressure's in the Ukraine, pressure's in the European streets. Not on the rugby league field. Not there, not there. It's the terror of knowing that your job is in doubt. Watching the newsman saying, get him out. But tomorrow it gets harder. But think the people on European streets, they're dead. Oh, rugby league. Who cares?
That's the best piece of music I think that's been on this show.
Mid-season trade, what a wonderful kind of day. Let's find a guy who can play. Oh, we got another Arthur.
Thank you, Mr. Steeden. We have another Arthur, Liam.
We do.
We found ourselves
We're
with
collecting
another
the
Arthur.
set.
That's right, because we got one. There's only two, or potentially a third.
Might be a third. Who
Might be a
knows? Not
third.
me.
It reminds me. It reminds me, Liam. It's easy to forget these mid-season signings.
Yep,
that
that's some pretty forgettable guys on the screen.
There's
there.
some unforgettable, some more memorable of the Newcastle Knights. Now, I'll take you back to 2005.
You always try and take me back, Nag. I never remember these things.
It was a tough season. We were fighting for wins, and we couldn't get any at all to begin the season, and we managed to get some towards the end of the season. Now, there was two signings that we made mid-season. Milton Thaiday, do you remember Milton?
I was hoping that is Milton. I remember Milton Thaiday. I remember he was a bit of a live wire. He was a skinny, wiry fellow who was fast and had
Shoulder
moves.
charge, last line of defence.
That's right. Yeah,
That's the best
favourite
line of
thing.
defence.
Yeah. Came over from rugby union, and then
No, didn't he leave to go to rugby union after
No,
his
he played
Knights
for-
tenure? He came from the
he
Waratahs.
came from the
didn't he?
Waratahs,
Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
Scandal, I believe. Didn't he have
yeah,
some
but
sort
Ted-
of,
He did do a scandal.
The nose beers.
Yeah, that's right.
There was something about Milton and a scandal that maybe Milton was doing what Milton shouldn't have been doing.
And we said, come to the Newcastle Knights. There's we all forgive
There's a
you.
home for you here.
That's right.
amongst our other miscreants that we have in the team.
There's also the man in the middle there, Craig Smith, also signed in the middle of the 2005 series.
Now, remind me a bit more about Craig Smith, because I don't remember much of Craig Smith except that he briefly played Origin for Queensland.
I don't think that's the same person.
I think of a different fella.
So he's a Kiwi.
Kiwi, that was it. Yeah, yeah.
Not to be confused with the Craig Smith.
I think you're thinking of the block of cigarettes, Jason Smith.
No, I wasn't. I do remember Jason Smith well. I just think I'd forgotten who Craig Smith was entirely and built my own narrative in my head.
Craig Smith came over as about a 34-year-old. Probably were desperate for some props.
Do you ever do that in life, Nagy, where you see a thing and you don't know what it's about, so you just make the story up in your head?
Basically, my entire
fun.
life.
It's really fun.
And he played so well that we kept him on even as a 35-year-old into the 2006 season. He made a break and he played against the Cowboys, I believe, and we weren't winning games at all. And then all of a sudden he busts through.
As was our tradition.
He makes a 40-meter break, and it was just a guy that
isn't it great to see a prop in space on a 40-meter break? They don't know what to do. They're like a mule with a spinning wheel.
He certainly didn't know what to do, being that age, but he had that sort of grunt that we needed. Stuck around with the Newcastle Knights coaching staff for many years after, possibly still there, and probably still looks the 34-year-old that we signed.
I think he was born 40.
That's right, he was. He came out of the womb as a 40-year-old man. Now we've moved forward in time, Liam, to 2013.
The Bennett years, of course. The win now. We have to win now, Mr. Tinkler told Bennett.
And I don't think many people remember this man, Craig Gower, as...
Do you mean they don't remember him full stop, or they don't remember him playing for the Knights?
They don't remember him playing for the Knights.
Of course, that's Italian Rugby Union International Craig Gower to you, Nagy.
40-test hero.
That's he played fly half for Italy.
Yeah.
Now, I love talking about Craig Gower because we bring up, of course, maybe the funniest thing on the internet. Sam, would you be able to bring up, please, the controversy section of Craig Gower's Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Now, Joust, if you're ever having a bad day, if you're having a rough day, and if you're not feeling yourself, just read the controversy section on Craig Gower's page. Yeah. I do it once, maybe every 2 or 3 months, because it's the funniest thing in the world. So I'll read it to you verbatim off the page here. In 2005, Gower was fired as Panthers captain after incidents at a charity golf event where he argued with several guests, groped the then teenage daughter of former league player Wayne Pearce, chased Mitchell Pearce with a bottle before vomiting on him, streaked nude around the resort, stole and crashed a golf cart, held a butter knife to the throat of a Sydney radio personality before throwing it at resort guests, and engaged with a brawl with resort security before being ejected from the official function and detained by police.
And we said
that is the best story in the history of the world.
We said come to Newcastle. We call that a Tuesday.
Real hot.
And of course he was stripped unceremoniously of the Panthers captaincy after that. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
He had to pay back for the golf cart.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're having a rough day, Joust, just read that. It's wonderful. What was Craig Gower's tenure with the Knights like? I don't remember.
4 games, I believe. He was coming off the bench as basically a bench hooker.
Bench hooker, yeah.
Yeah, and
he did have a much more accomplished career playing hooker than I think a lot of people remember. He played a lot of hooker in rep teams.
Oh, right.
Of course, would have won the Dally M in, I think, 03, but they cancelled the Dally M
so he played
due to a player's strike.
He went over there in 08 and ended up playing 74 games over there for European rugby. And if you go down a little bit more, Sam, just
for Aviron Bayonnais, of course, that famous club.
And plays 14 tests for Italy.
That's it. You said it 14.
I said 40. I said 40. Italy doesn't play a lot of rugby union tests, let's be frank. But if we go back to the mid-season signings, we take you closer into the future. And I say the future, the present. We can't go into the future.
Always swirling, mate.
Always swirling. Mitch Barnett. Looking forward, Mitch Barnett was a mid-season signing in 2016.
I'd forgotten that he was a mid-season signing.
He was a Brownie. A Brownie sign. We got him over there from Canberra. He was wildly. We couldn't win any games, but he did push and shove Paul Gallen, which was nice.
It's the finest thing you can do on a rugby league field.
We like the
push and shove Paul Gallen.
Yeah. So
it's a good jib.
And then stayed with us for several years, and then finally Andrew McCulloch.
I remember Andrew McCulloch having a pretty good Knights career. He was handy. He was dependable.
21.
He was solid.
Yeah, he came over, and when we lost our hooker, Jaden Brayley.
Slade Griffin.
Slade Griffin, of course.
Because that was around the time of the number 9
love
curse
Slade
at the
Griffin.
Knights.
Yes.
Slade Griffin blew everything in his knee. He did his ACL,
Exploded.
his MCL, and his PCL.
Yeah.
It just blew to bits. Andrew McCulloch came in, played a few games. His body blew to bits. I think the Knights went through about 4 hookers.
I think
that
we're talking.
year.
I think we're thinking about 2 different things. I think it was.
Definitely
I
we
think
are.
Slade
Yes.
Griffin. It was earlier on. I think it's 2019 that he blew up.
Yes.
Then we signed Jaden Bradley.
Didn't we get McCulloch at the same time we got Milford?
Milford, yeah,
was around
of
the
course,
Milford
Milford,
times, wasn't
of
it?
course,
Yeah.
Milford,
I
another
think it was a
one of
mid-season
those
signing, wasn't it?
mid-season signing.
So we're not good at it.
No, we're not great, but we definitely try it, and then we've done it again with Jake Arthur. Jake Arthur's coming over from the Manly Sea Eagles. He's not getting a great rub of the green over there to play first grade. We've lost our 5'8" in Fletcher Sharp. Of course, he ain't coming back, unfortunately.
Oh, isn't that a sad state of affairs?
Now, what do you think of
Anything to keep Jackson Hastings out of the team.
Jake Arthur isn't going to be the kind of LimeWire is the
Oh,
way.
wow,
that's a great
that's how we downloaded music.
What
in
a
the day.
wonderful service LimeWire was.
LiveWire.
Best way to get a virus into your house.
Yeah, we just bleed viruses through your PC, and then when you have to go, I don't know why anything's not working anymore. Please get a technician around to fix it.
Yeah, Mum, I don't know why we got a $500 internet bill. Oh, goodness, you better blame Telstra.
Yeah.
And she did, and
Yeah.
they took the bill away.
So,
Thank you.
There's a moral.
Thank you, LimeWire.
so it was. We're not going to get the same kind of thing, but I think we get more X's and O's from a half perspective. Now,
Well,
Jake
that's it. I think
Arthur-
we need dependability in the halves.
Yeah.
Dependability is what we need in the halves, I think.
Jake Arthur coming over, starting first grade, I should say, for the Parramatta Eels under his father. A lot of people think, well, he was sort of given a bit
Talks
of
of being a Nepo baby,
Nepo
perhaps.
baby.
But the
That-
way the Parramatta fans treated him was pretty
rough,
abhorrent.
yeah,
it was
yeah.
pretty rough.
Now,
he didn't deserve any of that.
He wasn't going to force Dylan Brown or Mitchell Moses out of their spots, but he was coming off of the bench. He did score a try in that 2002 grand final.
He did.
Now then he went to Manly, and he hasn't unseated Cherry Evans or played much first grade over there. But he has played a lot of senior footy. Now as a 23-year-old, probably playing about 70 games.
Entering
of
his
senior footy.
prime, perhaps.
I think potentially we might see the best out of him that we've seen on a first grade rugby league field. He's going to be able to get that opportunity here, obviously with his brother Matt.
Well, that's it. Adam
the set.
AOB's really sort of collecting the Arthurs together, isn't it? He's getting all of his godsons in. Eventually,
right.
it's just going to be a team of 17 of his godsons.
A lot of people don't realise that, but both boys are the Godfather. The Godfather is actually Adam O'Brien. Brad
and the
Arthur
Godfather.
and AOB are very, very good friends.
It's like the movie, yeah. And the Godfather.
That's right. Yeah. If it was a slight more accent, but yes. It's a lot of people are talking that
I thought it
maybe
was pretty good, Liam.
No,
I'm
it was
not
pretty-
going to
it
stand up for all
was-
this slander.
it wasn't
I thought
bad.
it was pretty good, Liam.
If you close your eyes, you're picturing me just as a fat Italian in a suit.
Yes, as I often do. Now, Brad Arthur and Adam O'Brien, very, very good friends. I believe they probably knocked heads there at the Storm in a very, very conventional way. Knocked heads is something you do with
Yeah, you
brotherly,
just
a
get
brotherly
them
knock of the head.
Knocking heads out behind the bicycle
A
shed
bit of a
after
wrestle,
school.
but it also says that Brad Arthur maybe doesn't have many mates because if he's got the multiple kids, but both sons, he has given the honour of being godfather to Adam O'Brien.
That's
So
it. Pick someone else.
Yeah.
Share them around, Brad.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So we might
have some
see-
more mates.
a bit more nepotism from the godly side to say he's going to be.
You see, people always say nepotism's such a bad thing. Is it such a bad thing always?
It happens.
There's got to be some cases of good nepotism.
Surely, yeah, there must be someone out there.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus,
Yes.
famously a wonderful actress in her own right. comes
Lance
from-
Armstrong.
Lance, what?
Yeah, son of Neil. No, not true. Not true, everybody. Not true.
Don't quote
Ben
him on it.
Stiller, famously a nepo baby, but does
course.
a good job.
He does.
So maybe nepo babies aren't always a bad thing.
Sometimes okay.
Sometimes they're good.
Hopefully, we see a bit more.
Do you hold out much hope for Jake Arthur as a sort of a needle mover at the club? Is he going to change things?
I think he's going to be. We've had.
I think he'll be fine.
Fletcher Sharp has been such an exciting player to watch, and he's growing. But also, he doesn't do a lot of the good 5'8" things. He doesn't have a great left to right pass.
No.
Doesn't have a kicking
He
game.
does the great rugby league things,
Yes.
not necessarily the good rugby league 5'8" things.
I think we're going to see the better rugby league 5'8" things.
I don't want that though.
yeah,
I want the Fletcher Sharp, just awesome shit type of half.
Well, he's in hospital. He's
true.
broken. We've broke him.
and you're in our thoughts, Fletcher.
So I think we're going to see a lot of first grade out of Jake Arthur, potentially playing a lot of 5'8" outside of Kalen Ponga. Have you done something to that photo?
They may be an AI.
Maybe
mouth
something
there. A
else.
little bit of an AI mouth there.
And it's going to be exciting to see. A game that we didn't have Jake Arthur for
Why does his mouth look like that?
He's gave him teeth. Now, he doesn't show teeth.
For those in the audio medium, please watch the show because you're missing out on some gold right
Now,
John Morris, of course.
John Morris is
He's there for some reason.
He's there, ready. Bags are packed. The kids are in the car, thinking that maybe a coaching opportunity, potentially at the Newcastle Knights, potentially even at.
But he's not anyone's godfather. He's not getting the job.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not at Concord. So he should have worked harder to be friends with Benji Marshall.
Have a better godson, John Morris.
That's
Jesus.
right. So
Might still be in a job.
So we might see John Morris there, but to bring you to a game that was almost. Like, we've seen the games.
This was a fun game to watch. I'm not going to lie. As far as losses go, this was one of the more exciting losses we've had.
Yeah.
There was so much going on in this game of footy.
Now, we went in with a lot of confidence against the Canberra Raiders at home. We were on a bit of a maybe we can do it. Everyone's very excited, and it did feel like. Initially, that feeling went away quite quickly. The nightmares,
Very quickly.
The nightmares of Christmas past with Simi Sasagi.
The nightmares of Christmas past. Now, we got to talk about them. The four best players for Canberra were all former Knights players.
That's
Zach
right.
Hosking, Simi Sasagi, the other two.
So,
Tom Starling.
Tom
Starling,
Starling, of
yeah.
course, did his usual stuff. He had a try assist. He played a hand in all of their tries, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, Sasangi had the try. He had the offload to get it to Starling for Jed Stewart, I think, to score out to the left. Hosking had the offload for the Kaya Weeks try.
We got done by offloads.
We
We
got
really did, yeah.
the once Canberra started offloading, they just decided we're just going to do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
Some more great work, of course, from the Newcastle Knights digital team. Ground conditions, slippery weather showers. They changed it up,
it's not
which is
fine.
nice.
No.
But who was the fourth ghost of Christmas past I was going to bring up? Was Sasangi, Hosking,
Sulo wasn't
Starling,
there.
Sulo wasn't in.
No, there was someone. Oh,
Another.
the second rower. What was his name?
No, because Sasangi
Not
and
Sasangi.
Hoskins
no.
were the second rowers.
Hoskins is the one I'm
Tarpanay?
thinking of.
But there was another. Oh, Tarpanay, of course. Yeah, that was the other one.
Yeah, but we got killed by the offload. They seemed to find the offload when they needed it. In the first 30 minutes, they managed to get 3 tries, 16 points to nil. Another game we went into half-time with a 0.
Not good.
But it was a 16-0. Everyone said, hang on a second, we did it against Manly. Can we score 16 points in the second half?
And we said yes.
yeah.
We said absolutely.
We said,
Try and stop us.
We actually scored 18 points in the second half. We
is
had
way
enough-
more than
We
16.
had enough of the points to beat the first half score. But there was a fumble to Jackson Hastings, which
led directly to the try. Was it the no? Who scored the try from the Hastings thing? It was
Jed Stewart. Jed
Jed Stewart,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
they went straight in the
Yeah,
middle, scored
not
on the
great.
post, 6 points up to take their 16 to 22, and we couldn't quite get there. Now, looking at the stats, there was my classic
Statistically, Knights pretty good. The 80-11, 80-10 rule
80-10,
came into
80
play.
which is usually means for me that's enough for the Knights to win the game. 10 errors
Not
or
this
less,
time.
80% completion rate or more, and but those two things were just on the cusp. We didn't quite get it.
And again, if you're watching in the visual medium, you'll recognise the great work of the NRL Digital, having a team in blue, using blue, and having a team who play in green, also using blue.
Yeah.
Get your
It's
shit
very,
together.
Very, very difficult.
You're spending your money in the wrong places, NRL.
Yeah. It was a game that we thought maybe we could potentially get over there in another great second half win, but we just couldn't quite do it. And
what a shame it was. Because if ever there was going to be a game where we did it, I thought that game was a key chance where we thought, oh my God, we're in this. We could do it. And we didn't do it.
Yeah, and now, of course, Liam, if we're talking about performances, both good, bad, and indifferent, we must address the hatware and for our hats off for this week.
Hats off. Hats off. Hats off.
I've only had one haircut this year. It's getting unruly. Now, Liam, your hats off for this week.
Jermaine McEwen.
Yeah.
Now, this young man sort of forced his way into the squad. He's been playing some good footy, but I think this was a bit of a breakout game for him.
Yeah.
He had obviously that try where he barged over from hooker. When he made that decision, I thought that's a bad decision. And then he got the ball onto the ground in the in-goal, and I said, what a great decision. I said it from the start. That's a great decision.
Great decision.
He had some good runs. He was really throwing himself around too. He was playing pretty physical.
Yeah.
So I think it was a real statement game from Jermaine McEwen. You know, we've had so many young guys come into the team recently, and I think he really put a statement on here saying, oi, I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
9 runs,
Simple
80
statement, but a statement no less.
9 runs, 80 metres, as well as 17
Did
tackles.
a line break as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. 17 tackles, only 2 missed. Line break, try, 3 tackle breaks. All in all, a good game from the boy. Well done, Jermaine.
That's right. For me, I believe I've gone to the School of Unremarkable Boys. For Jack Cogger, again, someone that
He's had a string of good games.
a string of
Jack
good
Cogger.
games. It's not much that you can put on Jack Cogger to say. And look, potentially with a 5'8" like Jake Arthur in the future, I think we're going to again
Well,
see
there's
the
a
best
tall
from
boy. So you've got Jack Cogger, who's famously a short boy.
That's
and then
right.
you've got Jake Arthur coming in as a tall boy. Brings
right.
the average up.
That's right.
you got to have the average up. It's
That's right. That's right. We want a good average. We want tall boy, short boy combinations.
the oldest combination in the book.
That's
you
right.
see. Yeah.
Now, neither player particularly flashy, particularly fast, or anything like that. But I think between the two heights, we might be onto something.
There we go.
So I was happy to see our very own School of Unremarkable Boys, Jack Cogger, for another hats
And
off.
we've persisted as Jack Cogger fans on this show for so long.
Yeah, very-
we've always been fan of Jack Cogger.
Very Cog.
I feel like he's strung some good footy together.
playing his 50th game for the Newcastle Knights as well.
Oh, there you go. Isn't
That's
that a lovely
the
thing?
combination of before when he was very
The
young,
befores and the afters.
and then the after.
That's it. He really was thrown to the wolves. He was in the Nathan Brown Newcastle Knights team for 3 years.
Yes.
And then he was in the Dean Paid Bulldogs team for 3 years.
And now he's in the Adam
It's
O'Brien
amazing
Knights,
that
yeah.
he's still in the NRL, given the shit heaps that he was thrown into.
born in the dark.
Now, Liam, when we have taken our hats off, we must put them back on to our heads for a player that we think has done not so well in a segment we like to call Hats Back On.
Oh, yeah, you put your hat on.
Now, Liam, you have an interesting one once again. This is a
I'll come to
favourite.
that in a sec. We'll go hats back on first.
My Hats Back On goes to Jackson Hastings.
Friend
now,
of the show.
Now, someone that doesn't like the show apparently, but he doesn't. But I have to put my hats back on because if he was going to come out and play a certain game, you want safety with Jackson Hastings. You want someone with a bit more centred. He knocks the ball on cold. That leads to the second half try, the only try that Canberra scores, ends up costing us the game. You have to point the finger and say, Jackson Hastings, you've let us down in that moment. Now, but
It's a tough one.
But Liam, you've gone for, again, an interesting hats back on because this is your favourite one.
Now, James Spiller continues to perplex me. I'm awarding again something that we didn't know existed, the Schrodinger's hat.
Yes.
So let's talk about the game
Yeah.
that James Spiller played. We're going Schrodinger's hat. So
Yes.
at the same time,
Hats are on.
he
and
gets
off.
the hats off.
Yes.
But at the same time, he gets the hats on. So there was a play early in the game where KP swung it wide with a cutout pass. He was about 3 meters too flat. Looked like he was expecting a crossfield kick.
Yes.
He had a grubber kick, which he put out. He put way too deep. He had a pretty glaring error. He made one tackle and missed 4 tackles. But at the same time, he scores 2 tries. Can we just duck back to the stats real quick, Sam? He scores 2 tries. He runs for 257 meters, 75 post contact,
Yeah.
4 line breaks,
Yeah.
6 tackle breaks. He had 3. I think he had 3 or 4 line breaks as well. James Spiller, he just continues to perplex me. My poor wife couldn't sleep because I just kept yelling his name. Like, there was so many points in the game where I'd just yell
Was this in the
James Schiller.
At the middle of the night, maybe.
Well, I was watching on delay after
I know.
work.
I thought you meant when your wife can't sleep because you're shouting out the name. I thought maybe Brittany Mel has been waking up in the middle of the night where you're just going Schiller. Like,
Sometimes in my sleep, I yell it in my sleep.
Yeah.
Like, we're really getting the Sean Kennydale experience with James Spiller, and I love it.
Yeah.
The first couple of weeks, I hate it. But then you look at what he does when he's not making the glaring errors, and he does so many good things. But the bad things he does are so bad. I don't understand him. I can't wrap my head around him, and I'm loving the ride.
Liam,
It's Sean Kennydale all over again, and we love Sean Kennydale.
He realizes, he's a very, very astute fella. He realizes that he is in the entertainment business.
Oh,
but he's
the
entertaining
business of show.
both fans, both home fans as well as the away fans. He's entertaining everyone.
Yeah.
He's giving everyone a chance.
He's putting bums on seats.
That's right.
He's selling tickets.
Yeah.
So again, James Schiller, you get Schrodinger's hat. I have no idea what you are when it comes to rugby league, and I love it. I think it's great. Just continue doing whatever it is you do. Shine on, you crazy fucking diamond. It's wild.
Yeah, Liam, we've got the Marcus bye next week. We don't have
We've got the
game
Marcus,
Yeah, the Marcus. Nothing to look forward to. We've got State of Origin on the horizon.
We've got that to look forward to.
Yeah, we do.
What a good week for a bye.
In less than a week. We've never been very generous with the buys. The NRL to the Newcastle Knights, but luckily we've got a week off. We can recoup. Of course, there are some players that aren't going to be coming back after the bye. Kalen Ponga being one of them, but we do give players, hopefully like Jake Arthur, a chance to maybe spend some time with the team. We're probably going to see Fletcher Hunt back there in fullback because the unfortunate thing when you have your 5'8",
How good's that going to be? Fletcher Hunt at fullback. I love it.
Fletcher Sharp, of course, being
Or
the
would we
5'8".
see maybe Connor Vitano finally thrown into the mix? There's been
Potentially,
so much
yeah.
talk about it in the last couple of seasons. He's sort of been percolating away there in the lower grades.
Well,
Do we
like-
see him?
he's
I
like-
think Fletcher Hunt's probably done enough that he gets the Guernsey.
Do you think Connor, if he went to Depol and changed his name and was now Fletcher?
Connor Potato.
Yeah.
Oh. Fletcher Vitano.
Fletcher Vitano.
Oh, look, if he goes down to... Where do you change your name by deed poll?
I don't
Offers
know.
of birth, deaths and marriages?
Oh, yeah,
If he goes to birth, deaths and marriages tomorrow, changes his name to Fletcher Vitano,
Yeah.
straight into State of
into first
Origin.
grade, yeah.
Straight into the State of
Can't be
Origin. side.
stopped.
But we'll just duck back briefly, and it's a good time to look at the ladder there, because what a ridiculous year of rugby league it's been. The Newcastle Knights in 13th position have one win less than the Sydney Roosters in 6th position.
That's right.
The Dolphins in... Hang on, let me look. The Sharks in 10th have one more win than the same Roosters I just mentioned in 6th. It's such a ridiculous rugby league year. It's a tipster's nightmare. I'm bad at tipping, and I'd be even worse this year. It's such a strange year.
The Rabbitohs down there, only 6 wins, second last.
Yeah.
It's going to be an exceptionally high-grade spoon.
It's
whoever
such a
gets it.
flat ladder.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a flat ladder, I think, is the way other smarter people than us have been putting it.
Much needed 2 points coming our way.
It's like the ladder, you know, when you're doing exercises at footy where they got the ladder on the ground
Yes.
and you got to go in and out.
Yeah.
In and out,
That's right.
unencumbered by gravity.
Small feet.
Yeah, small feet.
Liam, of course, we are the fixers.
Yes.
We have to fix something every week to make sure the world is working the way it should. Now, Liam, this is something that we must address because it's something that bothers both of us.
The shills in the
way.
mainstream media aren't talking about it, so we must.
That's
Us
right.
in the alternative media, it's our responsibility.
I believe so.
To bring this into the world. you
Liam,
know?
what days does the calendar start?
I personally always grew up with the calendar starting on Sunday.
Sunday.
The week
It starts
starts
on a
Monday,
Sunday,
but
yeah.
the calendar starts on Sunday.
yeah, so-
Sunday is the first day
Yeah.
of the week. Of course, good Catholic boys like us, it's the most important day of the week.
That's right.
And so it's the first day.
If it's let's say it's a Friday, and we're talking about Sunday that's approaching, would that be this Sunday?
Well, see, to me, this Sunday... So, because here's the conundrum,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
This Sunday and next Sunday.
Yeah, yeah.
This Sunday is often the next Sunday.
It is.
So, how do you differentiate between this Sunday and next Sunday? So, we really just need to pick one and stick with it. That's what
right.
we need to do. We need to get this argument done. So, I think what we need to do is just refer to it as next Sunday.
Yes.
Because it is the next Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not this Sunday and then the next Sunday.
We're looking
After
forward,
that
of
is the
course,
next
yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
The Sunday coming is the next Sunday chronologically, so we should call it next Sunday.
Now, if you're again on that Friday, but you're talking about the next Tuesday, is that this Tuesday or next
No,
Tuesday?
it's next Tuesday because it's the next Tuesday that is happening.
Right, so
that's
everything's-
how I think it needs to rely on. It needs to rely on it being the next day of that kind that is happening.
So if it's not tomorrow, it's next.
it's next. Yeah.
This-
if it's not today, if it's not tomorrow, it's next.
Unless you're on the day, so we're talking about Friday, talking about today. I'll refer to
today.
that is this Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
If it is the day itself, it's this Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
If you talk about the next Friday, it's the next Friday. And this, again, the mainstream media, they're not talking about this.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No,
They cowards? Is it cowardice?
They will not touch it.
No.
Because it creates
too
a
hot.
storm.
It's too hot.
Controversy. It's too hot.
But
And-
where do you stand on this, Nagy?
Liam,
or that, or
I
next?
think the Sunday is the pivotal point. If it's after the Saturday, it becomes next week. So if you're on the Friday talking about Monday, it's next Friday. Sorry, it's next Monday. And then if it's something that's anything after that Saturday, once the Saturday it becomes the next week, and therefore it lives in the next.
Because then, of course, you have the third one as well, where you've got it's either next Sunday, is it this Sunday, and then, of course, the next coming Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
That throws another spanner in the works.
Next episode, we'll be talking about the ones where it's just, you name the day of the week and you say that. So you say Saturday week.
Saturday week. I like that.
and
I'm a big fan of that.
You like
I
Saturday
think it's
week?
great.
Oh,
Yeah,
you think if it like Wednesday week?
yeah, Wednesday week.
Yeah,
I
so-
think that's a better way than saying the next Wednesday that's coming.
So it has
Say
to be
Wednesday week.
more than 7 days away. It becomes
Yeah.
that week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
week plus. Yeah.
So yeah, instead of saying, for example, we record this on a Thursday.
Yeah.
If I'm talking about Saturday right now, I would say We have this Saturday coming. No, we have next Saturday. Oh, God.
Yeah, we've worked ourselves into a thing.
Well,
I tell you, the problem's
We've
Liam,
worked ourselves into a tiz.
the problem, Liam, is
we need to fix ourselves.
we're not very
we can't
clever.
get our own shit together.
We're not very clever, and that's what we can't fix things. But I tell you someone who is very clever, and that's Mr. Cade Chesworth. And that's the appliance guy who can fix everything that you need because he is very clever. He can work out all these things. His calendar would be rock solid.
Yeah.
There would be absolutely no
Just make
question
sure you
about
pick the
it.
right day. Don't tell him to come next Thursday because we might mix up.
No,
he might turn up on the next 2 Thursdays.
He will clarify because he is prompt and reliable, Liam, for anything that you're plugging in appliances that need to be fixed. Cade Chesworth is your man, the appliance guy, and he can be contacted on this number.
0414 760 542.
Love your work, the appliance guy. Liam, thank you for joining me this week. I'll be seeing you next week.
Oh, well done, Nate. See what you did there.
This being the
callback.
and the name of the callback. That's right. It's very,
So you'll
it's a
see me
payoff.
Thursday week.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. Liam, we've got Origin to look
I think
forward
we
to.
just muddied the waters.
No,
even
it made it more confusing.
That's not our best
No.
fixes segment so far.
If you like us, Joust, you can find us on all the social pipes, including YouTube, TikTok, Apple Tunes, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify. Also for all you audio listeners. Liam, thank you once again for joining us.
Pleasure as always.
Go you mighty Blues going into this next week. But for final time this episode, please welcome our musical guest once again, Mr. Bleedin' Steeden.
Ba-da-da-da. 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 Ba-da-da-da.